Good afternoon, guys. And as per your syllabus, so in part of chemotherapy chapter, today I am going to explain about the sulfonamides and the co-trimoxazole. So still now we have seen the antibiotics, beta-lactam antibiotics, quinolones, fluoroquinolones, urinary antiseptics. These all those things is it comes under the antibiotic category. But this is the first drug, sulfonamides and co-trimoxazole. These are the drugs. It's called as chemotherapeutic agent because these are the chemical agents. It's used in the treatment for against the organism. So, but previously the antibiotics means these are the substances derived from the some of the other microbes. So example, penicillin means it's a fungal product, but it's going to act against some bacteria. So, but in this scenario, sulfonamides or co-trimoxazole, it's not an antibiotics; it's a chemical agent. So, it's having efficacy to act against the organism. So, it's called as chemotherapeutic agents. So, first I can go for the description. Yeah, the sulfonamides is one of the oldest antibacterial agents. And history-wise, in 1935, this agent is used against the treat the cockle type of organism. So before that, we have seen penicillins, beta-lactam antibiotics. All those things is introduced in at the mid of 1940s to 50s range. But this sulfonamides is introduced even in, before the beta-lactam antibiotics. So it's proved the efficacy in around 1935 itself. But what the problem here? The sulfonamide is doesn't having a bactericidal effect. It's having only bacteriostatic effect because it's going to inhibit the bacterial synthesis of folic acid. It's not going to eradicate the organism. It's not going to uh, eradicate the organism. It's just going to control the growth of organism by inhibit the bacterial synthesis of folic acid. Guys, this is the mechanism action. Um, sulfonamide is going to inhibit the bacterial folic acid synthesis. This is a single line mechanism. If you can't able to write very deep, at least you can write this single line. So then another one problem is that the clinical usefulness is going to decrease. As I said earlier, the sulfonamides are one of the first chemotherapeutic agents. It's used to treat the infection, bacterial mediated infection. So later the introduction of beta-lactam antibiotics, penicillins, it's going to lose the market. Frankly, it's in mid market because it's the usefulness of the if a drug is going to decline because the newer antibiotics, penicillin kind of antibiotics, is having very good effect against wide range of organism, particularly gram positive organism. So the later generation drugs also is very effective against both the gram positive and gram negative. So automatically this chemotherapy sulfonamides is going to lose the efficacy because of the latent usage is going to reduce. And apart from that, it's one of the drug of choice those times. It's one of the drug of choice for those who are patients allergic with penicillin. So I said earlier, we have discussed earlier. So penicillin is one of the good antibiotics, but even though it may produce the allergic reactions. So those who are having allergy with penicillin, for those case we can prescribe this sulfonamides. And apart from that, it not having any effect against virus and fungi. So it's having effect only on bacteria. So it doesn't have any active against fungus and virus. And also then it's having bacteriostatic effect, not sidal effect. It's just going to inhibit the bacterial folic acid synthesis. So it's going to control the growth of organism. So it's having bacteriostatic effect, not sidal effect, not going to kill. It's going to just control the growth of organism. Next we can go for the exact sulfonamides. What is the substance and all? So sulfonamides, it's a first effective chemotherapeutic agent. Actually it is a dye. The dye name is protonsil dye. So the first introduction of sulfonamides is sulfanilamide. It's the first drug. It's actually protonsil. It's a conjoiner of sulfanilamide. Two molecule of sulfonamides is conjoined together, means it is called as protonsil. So it's having efficacy. It's used systemically to prevent the bacterial infection. Here I can mention humans, not only in humans. It's also used in the treatment for animals also. So when this sulfonamides is going to combine with some other agents, particularly the trimethoprim, pyrimethamine derivative. When it's combined with other substance, its therapeutic effect has been increased. It's produced the um, additive effect, particularly in this case, is produced synergistic effect. When combined with the sulfamethoxazole with trimethoprim, it's produced synergistic effect. So it's used in the treatment for prophylaxis manner for various infection, microbial mediated infection. So next we can go for the classification. The sulfonamides is majorly it's classified based upon the duration of action. So here it's going to divide short acting, intermediate acting, and long acting sulfonamides. Short acting means 4 to 8 hours, intermediate means 8 to 12 hours, long acting means more than 12 hours, particularly they mention 7 days. So I can give you some one example, each one category I can give the one example. Short acting sulfonamides, the sulfadiazine. Intermediate acting is sulfamethoxazole. Long acting is sulfodoxine and sulfamethoxypyrazine. This is one example from this each category. So apart from that, it has been classified based upon this some special purpose. Particularly the drugs are sulfostamide sodium. It's mostly used for ophthalmic formulations. So it's used in the treatment for conjunctivitis or microbial infections on eye. Means those cases we can use. Then silver sulfadiazine, still it's available in the market. It is one of the reliable drug. It's used in the treatment for burns. So any fire accident case means the burns, it may cause the severe infection. It may lead to very complicate the patients. So for those cases, the silver sulfadiazine is one of the life-saving drug. It's available as a cream. So it's control the microbial infection. The next one is sulfasalazine. It's used in the treatment for the intestinal infection case. Because it's having a long-acting drug, it may retain in long time in GIT, so it's produced better effect. So this is a kind example. So we can go for the exact classifications. Yeah, as I said earlier, the sulfonamides has been classified into 3 types: short-acting and long-acting and intermediate acting. So many drugs are there. At least each category you have memorized at least 2 or 3 drugs. First, short-acting sulfonamides. The drugs are sulfodiazine, sulfamethasone, and sulfadimidine. So at least you can memorize these 3 drugs: sulfadiazine, sulfamethasone, and sulfadimidine things. Then intermediate drugs. The drugs are sulfaguanidine and thallyl sulfadiazole, thallyl sulfacetamide, and succinyl sulfathiazole. So long-acting drugs, sulfafenazole and sulfadimethoxin and sulfamethoxyprednisone. So at least you can memorize at least 2 drugs or 3 drugs from each category. So next we can go for heart of the subject, pharmacological action, mechanism of action. Before we are going to see the mechanism action, we must know the what is the common things is going to happen in organism. In bacteria, for the survival of organism is going to synthesize the folic acid for the microbial growth, and it's going to multiplication process. It's need a folic acid. So the bacteria is going to synthesize the folic acid by this pathway. So with the raw material of para-aminobenzoic acid with the pethidine molecule, it's going to conjoin together. So with the help of dihydropeptide synthase enzyme, dihydrofolate synthase enzyme, otherwise it's called as dihydrofolate synthase enzyme. So it's going to, with the help of this enzyme, it's going to form a dihydropetroic acids. So this is the first intermediate product. So that intermediate product is further is converted into the dihydrofolic acid. Then dihydrofolic acid is further reduction in, finally it's converted to the THF, tetrahydrofolic acid. For this conversion, its essential enzyme is dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. Otherwise it's called as dihydropetrate reductase enzyme. Here the other name is dihydrofolate synthase, here dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. So these are the 2 enzymes, folate synthase and the dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. So these 2 enzymes act as a vital role for the production of folic acid biosynthesis in bacteria. So our sulfonamide is going to interrupt this pathway. Exactly, the sulfonamide is going to act on this enzyme. Is going to inhibit the folate synthase enzyme. What's the mechanism means? The sulfonamides structure wise, chemistry wise, the sulfonamides, it's structurally it's very close resemble with para-aminobenzoic acid. So this para-aminobenzoic acid is going to bind with the folate synthase enzyme, then it's going to sequential biological synthesis process. But with presence of sulfonamides, what happened? Instead of para-aminobenzoic acid, the sulfonamide is going to bound with the enzyme. So it's going to competitively block the enzyme. So what's happening? It's going to inhibit the folic acid biosynthesis. For simple manner, you can write the sulfonamide is going to inhibit the folate synthase enzyme. When the synthase enzyme is going to inhibit means is going to inhibit the total folic acid synthesis. What is the reason means? Because of structure similarity with the raw material. The raw material is para-aminobenzoic acid. So this is the exact mechanism. I can write written in a text manner. If you want, you just copy it. So the sulfonamides, the structural analog, is going to competitive antagonist against the para-aminobenzoic acid. Simply we can say BABA. So it's a close resemble with BABA. So the sulfonamide is going to close resemble with BABA. So what's happening? So instead of structural similarity, because of structural similarity, instead of BABA, our drug sulfonamide is going to compete with the enzyme. The enzyme is bacterial folate synthase enzyme. So the enzyme is responsible for the production of folic acid synthesis. So instead of BABA, our drug is going to bound. So it's going to produce competitive antagonism mechanism. So its enzyme is going to block. It's not at all is going to produce the folic acid synthesis. So the bacteria, the sensitive microorganism, it must to synthesize their own folic acid. Then only it's going to survive. But in presence of sulfonamide, it can't able to synthesize the folic acid. So the organism can't able to multiply. That's a mechanism. But at the same time, the already existing folate, if it is already the precursor is formed, already the folate is formed, means our drug can't able to going to affect those folate. It just is going to prevent the production of folate. The existing folate, it has been utilized for the bacteria. So those folate can't able to affect by our drug. As I said, the bacteriostatic effect, the sulfonamides produce a bacteriostatic effect, is due to the counteract by the BABA action. And another one important thing is that the sulfonamide, it do not affect the mammalian cell. That means our human cell, it doesn't affect with the sulfonamides, because our humans, we have taken the folic acid from our food diet also. So through food source, we can taken the folic acid, means it has been utilized. But bacteria, it can't able to utilize our folic acid. So it, for survival mechanism, it must be capable to synthesize its own folic acid. So that's a target. So because of that phenomena, our drug is going to inhibit the folic acid synthesis, bacterial folic acid synthase enzyme. So you can see here the structure wise, this is the para-aminobenzoic acid. This is the substrate. So our drug sulfanilamide in vivo condition, you can see here that it's close resemble structure. It's having a close resemble structure. That's the reason instead of BABA, our drug is going to competitively is going to bind with the folate synthase enzyme. So this is the mechanism, the same thing. So our drug sulfonamides is going to inhibit the dihydrofolate synthase enzyme. So the enzyme is responsible for production of folic acid. So from this mechanism, we can inhibit the bacterial growth. The kinetic is why the pharmacokinetics parameters. So oral absorption, short-acting drug, the sulfaxazole and intermediate sulfadiazine, sulfamethoxazole and long-acting sulfadiazine drugs. These are the drugs. It's a very good absorption in oral route. So the absorbed from the stomach and intestine, it's distributed widely, even including CNS and placental also. So it's going to reach the CNS and placenta. So metabolize in liver, it's produce the metabolite. It doesn't having any efficacy, so it's produce the inactive metabolite. Most amount of the drug is excreted through kidney. So the rate of excretion increase in alkaline urine. Once you have to alkalinize the urine, means the rate of elimination is going to increase. So oral non-absorbable drugs are sulfasalazine. It's a best example for oral non-absorbable drug. That's a reason it's very good efficacy on intestinal infection. This drug is never is going to absorb in GIT. So once it's going to the large intestines, from that place it's going to produce the antibacterial effects. For a topical application, the sulfacetamide, as I said earlier, the sulfacetamide sodium is available in the ophthalmic formulations. Silver sulfadation, these are drugs is available in the topical formulations. Yeah. So the next one is adverse effects. What are the common ADR and side effects for this sulfonamides? So it may cause hypersensitive reaction. The major ADR is crystalluria, because this drug it's eliminated through, mostly it's eliminated through urine. So it may produce the crystalluria. Because of this crystalluria, it may produce the hematuria. Hematuria means we know that there is excretion of blood through urine. So under renal obstruction also is caused, because it may produce the it's going to form a crystallization. The drugs, when it's going to eliminate through urine, it's going to crystallization, so it's going to form a crystals. The crystal is as such is eliminated through urine, means it's called as crystalluria. During that excretion process, it may damage the urethral way. It's going to damage, it's lead to bleed, means it's called as hematuria. So it's going to obstruct, means it's called as renal obstruction. So allergic nephritis, it's going to inflammation, allergic in nephron. Then hemolytic anemia, aplastic anemia, thrombocytopenia, blood dyskaryosis, and Hernig's in newborn. Due to the metabolic insufficiency, it may produce the bile pigmentations on the newborns. The side effects, the most common side effects are nausea and vomiting, headache, and mental depression. Cyanosis, rarely it's produced the cyanosis. It's due to the formation of methemoglobinemia. So that's a reason for producing cyanosis. And serious adverse effects like hepatitis, it's going to damage the liver, and hypersensitive reactions like rashes, fever, even some cases producing anaphylactic reactions also. And it is going to depress the bone marrow depression. That's the reason it's produce the hemolytic anemia, aplastic anemia, and thrombocytopenia. So once bone marrow depression is going to happen, means automatically the blood cells production is also going to reduce. That's a reason for behind the scene. And crystalluria, we already seen that. Then this last effect result from the precipitation of acylated metabolite. What I said, the crystallization during elimination process, the drug may, after metabolism, it's going to become crystal. That's the reason it's produced the crystalluria. So if you want to overcome this problem, you can just give the some weak alkaline salts. Otherwise, alkaline supplementation means due to the alkalination of urine, the drug is never going to crystallize, is eliminated easily. And sulfonamides usage, it's a broad spectrum bacteriostatic. It's effective on both gram positive and gram negative bacteria. So it's produced bacteriostatic, not bactericidal. That is important. It's never going to kill the organism. It's going to control the growth of organism, because it just is going to inhibit the folic acid synthesis. So because of those reasons, it's readily is effective that's a reason. So clinical usage wise, the sulfonamides it's never used as in a single therapy. It's always used with combination therapy. Particularly, the sulfonamides is combined with trimethoprim. It's called as cotrimoxazole. It is used in the treatment for pneumonial cases, particularly in HIV patients. It's going to produce such kind of pneumonia that's called as pneumocystis carinii. So for those cases, the Septran cotrimoxazole is one of the very useful drug. At the same time, the sulfonamides is combined with the pyrimethamine, means it's produced better effect on malarial case, because the pyrimethamine derivatives it's used in the treatment for anti-malaria. So for those cases, we can combine with the sulfonamides, means we can produce better therapeutic effect, additive effect. And also it's used in the treatment for Ban's cases, infected Ban cases, and conjunctivitis. Sulfostamide, it's available in the ophthalmic formulation, so it's used in the treatment for conjunctivitis. It also is used in the treatment for STD cases, sexually transmitted cases, like a trachoma and chlamydia cases. It's used in the treatment for urinary tract and respiratory tract infection. So these are all the applications were existing in before 15 or 16 range. Even mid of the 70s or 80s, most of the government hospital, they are given two white color tablets. One is paracetamol, another one is Septran. The Septran is nothing but it's a combination of combination of sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. So because that time it's having very good efficacy, because that time the organism also is not having a resistance, very limited antibiotics has been used. So nowadays, frequent usage of antibiotics and novel antibiotics, nowadays this Septrans, this sulfonamides is mostly it's not at all useful. Particularly in infants, the Septrans is available, but even nowadays the Septrans syrup is mostly not prescribed by the most of the physicians. Directly they can go for cephalosporins. So therapeutic uses, it's very useful in the treatment for gram positive and gram negative organism, effective against nocardia and chlamydia, trichomonas and protozoa. And urinary UTI cases, upper respiratory tract infection, nocardias is what I said earlier. And sulfasalazine, it's a oral unabsorbable drug. It's long-acting drug. It's used in the treatment for IBD, inflammatory bowel syndrome. So for those cases, sulfasalazine is a very useful drug. The sulfostamides, I said it's available in the ophthalmic formulation. It's used in the treatment for bacterial conjunctivitis and trachoma. Silver sulfadiazine is used for Ban wounds. So just I have tablet the drugs. What is the protein binding capability, half-life, solubilization of urine, and therapeutic uses and considerations. These are the basic information. You just go through that. The next I can go for the cotrimoxazole. So in previous slides, we have seen about the only sulfonamides, and also we have seen it's alone, it's not produce better therapeutic effect. Always is going to combine with some other drugs, it's produce better therapeutic effect, because it's produce additive and synergistic effect. So that's mechanism here. For those purpose, we have combined the sulfonamides with trimethoprim. So the combination is called as cotrimoxazole. So what is the ratio means? 1 part of trimethoprim and 5 parts of sulfamethoxazole. That combination is called as cotrimoxazole. 1:5 ratio. So this combination is going to produce better therapeutic effect, particularly synergistic effect, because sulfonamides, the sulfamethoxazole, it's going to inhibit the first mechanism. It's going to inhibit the dihydrofolate synthase enzyme. So that enzyme is blocked, means it's inhibit the dihydrofolic acid synthesis, first step. But in second step, the trimethoprim, it's going to inhibit the dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. What the role of those enzymes means is going to responsible for conversion of dihydrofolic acid into tetrahydrofolic acid. So the both steps has been blocked by this combinations. So you can see this picture easily, you can understand. So this pathway we have already seen. from the para-aminobenzoic acid with piperidine molecule is converted into the dihydropetroic acid and dihydrofolic acid, then it's converted into the tetrahydrofolic acid. That is essential for the production of various purines and thymidine and methionine things. So the sulfonamides is going to inhibit the dihydrofolate synthase enzyme. So for the conversion of dihydropetroic to dihydrofolic acid conversion is blocked. In second step, the conversion of dihydrofolic acid into tetrahydrofolic acid conversion, it's catalyzed by dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. So those enzyme has been blocked with trimethoprim. So both the steps has been blocked. So it's produced better therapeutic effect, particularly synergistic effect. So this combination is one of the most active agents for the synergistic effect, because both the combination is going to block two enzymes, folate synthase and dihydrofolate reductase enzyme. So both the mechanism is going to block, so it's produced synergistic effect. So it's produced sequential blocking mechanism. So synthesis of tetrahydrofolic acid is going to block. The ratio is 1:5 ratio. 1 part of trimethoprim, 5 part of sulfamethoxazole. So the ADR, what we have seen in this sulfonamides ADR, the same, all those things we can write in here, because we have used sulfonamides. Along with that, we can use trimethoprim. So you can write all the side effects, adverse effects here also. Apart from that, anemia, blood dysuresis, all those things also we have seen in same cases and previous sulfonamides. So exclusively the cotrimoxazole produce anorexia effects, the loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting common, then allergic reactions also is common, we have seen already in sulfonamides. Headache, vertigo, photosensitivity is very unique side effects in cotrimoxazole, and it may cause life-threatening effect in some cases, because sulfonamides it's produce the bone marrow depression, because of it's going to reduce the blood cell productions, blood dyskaryosis. So particularly the leukocytes, thrombocytes, everything is going to reduce. Leukopenia, thrombocytopenia, reduction of leukocytes and thrombocytes due to the bone marrow depression. It may produce the hemolytic anemia, aplastic anemia, RBC productions also is going to decline. A granulocytes also is going to decline. So rarely it's produced Stephen-Johnson syndrome and renal failure. The Stephen-Johnson syndrome, it's some kind of unique syndrome. So that is nothing but the peeling of skin, some kind of allergic reactions. So those case, the skin is going to become allergic, like a rashes. But in this case, the skin was totally is going to peel. The detachment of skin layer, epidermis is going to happen. So it is unique syndrome. It's called as Stephen-Johnson syndrome. Because of crystalluria, the sulfonamides is going to produce crystalluria. Because of that, it may cause a renal failure also. This combination, trimethoprim, sulfomethoxazole combinations. So precaution with the patients with severe glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, because already the sulfonamides is produce a hepatotoxicity. If the person is having glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, means definitely it may worsen the condition. And toxicity wise, GI upset, rashes can progress into Stephen-Johnson syndrome, thrombocytopenia, leukopenia, hepatitis, all those things is same. It's available in Septran. The sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim combinations are available in the tablets, and syrup suspension also available. And the prescription wise, 10 to 20 mg per kg you can administer daily, 2 to 4 divided doses. You can divide the dose in 2 to 4 times. For the treatment for nocardia and gonorrhea, and particularly is used in the treatment for methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus cases also, we can use the Septran. Resistance is quite common for most of the antimicrobial agents and antibacterial agents. So here also the resistance is going to occur due to the mutation of dihydrofolate reductase enzyme, because our target enzyme is dihydrofolate reductase. So due to the mutation of this enzyme, our drug can't able to inhibit those enzyme, DHFRase enzyme. So it's going to, the drug is going to lose the efficacy because once it's mutated means the affinity, the drug affinity is towards the enzyme has been reduced. Because of a lack of affinity, the drug can't able to going to bind with dihydrofolate reductase, so it's going to lose the efficacy. The drug is produced synergistic effect. The minimum inhibitory concentration is reduced 3 to 6 times. Once you have used this microbial antimicrobial agents alone, even sulfonamide or trimethoprim means MIC value, minimum inhibitory concentration value is too high. But when you can combine, when it's used as a combo therapy, the MIC value, minimum inhibitory concentration value, is going to reduce up to 3 to 6 times. So we can, with the less minimal dose, we can achieve the antibacterial effect. So ratio obtained by the plasma 5:1 ratio. So this combination trimethoprim is also going to cross the triple B and placenta, blood-brain barrier and placental also. So trimethoprim is more rapidly absorbed. So indication and contraindication wise, this drug is mostly used in the treatment for UTI, urinary tract infection, particularly the E. coli mediated infection, and also it's used for ear infection and conjunctivitis also. Particularly sulfostamate is used in the treatment for conjunctivitis, and newborn eye prophylaxis and meningococcal meningitis. So inflammation on meningitis case, because both the drug is going to cross the triple B, so it's having efficacy on meningeal part also. So it's produce very good effect on meningeal inflammation condition. Apart from that, it is going to affect on chlamydia and toxoplasma gonorrhea also. So it's very effective against this kind of strains. So finally, the clinical usage and therapeutic usage. So it's used in the treatment for acute and complicated urinary tract infection, especially for females. Mostly the UTI is going to affect with females. So it's used in the treatment for UTI cases. And upper respiratory tract infection. In olden days, this Septran, it's used in the treatment for upper respiratory tract infection, common cold. For those cases, it's used, but nowadays, not at all is going to prescribe, because of novel antibiotics is available for better effect. And it's used in the treatment for pneumonia, particularly it's caused by pneumocytosis. So it's very effective against those pneumonia cases. And it's also used in the treatment for toxoplasmosis and sigilosis and nocardiasis. So these are the infection condition due to the unique organism. So it's also used in the treatment for typhoid fever and salmonella infection, prostate disease, inflammation on prostate gland. For that's effective for those cases also. And also finally it's used in the treatment for CAP, community acquired pneumonia case. So that's all. So that is overall mechanism concepts about the sulfonamides and co-triamoxole. So we have seen the introduction, description, then it's a history. It's available in the protonsyl dye, so it's a container of sulfonamide, then classified into these short acting, intermediate acting and long acting, locally acting drugs. So the mechanism is going to inhibit the sulfonamides is going to inhibit the folate synthase enzyme, so it's going to inhibit the folic acid synthesis. So it's going to competitive mechanism. So because of its structural similarity with the substrate is para-aminobenzoic acid. So instead of PABA, your drug is going to bind with the enzyme, so it's going to produce antibacterial effect. So based upon the observable nature, we have divided the drugs. Adverse effects: major ADR, crystalluria, allergic nephritis, and bone marrow depression. Cyanosis may cause occur. Then it's always combined with some other drugs, means particularly trimethoprim and pyrimethamine, means it's produce better therapeutic effect. So therapeutic use wise is used for wide range of infection case. So co-triamoxole means nothing but it's a combination of trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole is 1:5 ratio. Both the drug is going to sequential block by two different enzymes, folate synthase and dihydrofolate reductase. So because of that, it's produced the synergistic effect. The ADR wise is very common. Side effects is bone, because of bone marrow depression, it's produced various very high risk life threatening blood dyscariasis may occur. The combinations and what is the indications, finally what is the therapeutic uses, all those things we have seen. So I can wind up this session from this slide itself. So in next class I can go for some other topic. Thank you.